Hello, hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to the Chelsea J Experience, where I give you uncensored and unfiltered advice on all things career and business because I made all the mistakes so you don't have to. And today we are going to talk about recognizing red flags in interviews. Yes, they exist. All right, let's dive in and get started. Have you ever been to an interview where you just felt something was off or your gut told you, oh, this isn't right? These people feel odd and off, and I don't know if this is the place for me. If you have ever felt like that, trust me, you're not alone. I have felt like that many times, and I could actually do a story time telling you about some of the most bizarre interviews that I've been to, but I know you're not here for that today. So let's talk about some of the signs that, you may be entering a toxic environment, a sticky situation, just somewhere you don't want to be. And the good thing is that when you exercise this skill of being able to recognize red flags, oh man, you dodge bullets. And that's what I want you to do. I never want you to get into an organization and say, oh yeah, I thought I saw this, but I ignored it. No, pay attention. So here we go. All right, sign number one, or red flag number one, you feel rushed. Have you ever been in an interview process where you felt like everything was kicked into high gear? Like everything was fast. Like they called you and asked you, can you come to the interview tomorrow? And you're like, okay, that is pretty quick. And then after you go to the interview, they call you the very next day or even 2 days later and say, okay, you got the job, come on in. That is usually a sign that there is either a problem going on, some type of crisis, or something's just not right in the organization. Let me say this. I have actually interviewed with a company. I went to the interview the very next day because they asked me, they hired me that same week. I ended up joining the company and found out that it was a complete cluster. Everything was extremely unorganized. They had nothing in order and they just needed a butt in the seat. And I felt lost and super abandoned at the job, wasn't given a lot of direction, and it just did not end well. So if they are rushing along the process, that can be a potential red flag. Now, in the time that we're living in, I do understand that a lot of interviews are going quickly, but you have to actually pay attention to your gut and intuition. And if it is moving way too fast and they are talking way too fast and throwing things out way too fast, that may be a sign for an organization that you may want to avoid. All right, sign number two, red flag number two, they are uncomfortable answering questions in the interview. If you are in there and you start to ask about the culture, management style, upward mobility, some of their goals for the position, and they don't have answers for you, that means they usually don't have a well thought out plan or future for that position or even for that department sometimes. That's a huge sign. If they can't answer questions for you now, once you get there, they most likely will have a hard time answering real questions that you need once you get there. Red flag number three, the environment feels off. I always recommend paying close attention to the atmosphere of the company that you walk into when you're going into the interview, especially in person. Now, I know that, we've been working remote for a while, many of you have, and it's hard to really gauge that. But if you are able to actually go in person for the interview, pay attention. How are the other staff acting when you're there? Are they all friendly? Are they talking to each other? Does it look like they're collaborating? Are they excited to see you? Are they kind? If they're looking you up and down or giving you weird looks, trust and believe they will do the same once you get there. That might not be a friendly bunch or people that you want to work with. I also recommend even doing, video interviewing. Watch how your interviewers treat each other, how they transition to different questions, how they talk to each other. If you notice tension, that's not always a good sign, because the goal is to really get into an environment that is filled with respect and collaboration and kindness, and they have a people first focus. And if you're not seeing that when you're there during the interview, trust me, you will not see it once you're hired. All right. Red flag number 4. I'm pretty sure we're on number 4. All right. You feel disrespected during the interview process. Have you ever been in an interview where you're like, I feel like I was bullied, or I feel like they were being mean to me, or I feel like they were condescending? Yes, that happens. Sometimes there are interviewers who are extremely condescending, rude, disrespectful, challenge you on every question that you answer. And if they are doing that now, and I know I'm like a broken record saying that, but it is true. If they are doing that now and treating you that way, that's how they're going to be. The reason that you need to pay attention to red flags is because behavior does not change. It can change with time, but it takes time, and you don't have time to be wrapped up in that, right? So if you are noticing things are off, they're rude to you, disrespectful to each other, pay attention, because that is the culture, that's the environment that you will be stepping into and have to deal with long term if you decide to accept a job and stay there. So if at any point in the interview you feel disrespected, it is okay to walk away. It is also okay to cut an interview short. That is another story time that I have that I can tell you on a different day. But I have been in interviews where one of the interviewers looked at me and said, I don't believe you. Why do you believe you can do that? That was extremely disrespectful and rude and off-putting. But, I wanted that title, so I took the job, and I'm here to tell you, it did not turn out well. That interviewer was the exact same way as they were in the interview, and I felt attacked on a regular basis. But moving on. All right, so red flag, the next red flag, number 5. They force you to make a quick decision. Ugh, have you ever gotten an offer and they say, okay, here's the offer, yes or no? And you're like, oh, can I have a day to think about it? And they say, oh man, we really can't wait that long for you to think about it. We need an answer right now. Or if they turn around and say, okay, you know what? We'll give you 24 hours to come up with an answer. The majority of companies will at least give you, 3 to 5 days to really decide, because accepting a job is a big deal. It's not something to be taken lightly. You want to make sure that you're at the right company in the right position that's going to allow you to thrive and be happy. And if somebody is rushing you into a decision, that is a huge red flag. That usually means that everything that you do in that organization will be rushed. You'll never have an opportunity to really think and, make a solid decision that you are comfortable with, right? I'm not saying that I expect for them to give you 2 weeks to come to a decision, but they need to be patient. And if they're not willing to do that, that is a huge red flag. And finally, here's my bonus, red flag number 6. You don't feel good about it. I want you to get very comfortable with trusting yourself, trusting your gut, your intuition, your heart, your vibes, everything. If something feels off during the interview process and you feel like, oh, I don't know about this, and you find yourself making excuses and talking yourself into seeing things a different way, or, taking the role with hopes that you were wrong, don't do it. Trust yourself. We all have a gut, intuition, and eyes and ears and thoughts for a reason. If it doesn't feel right, that's because it's not right. So don't try to make it right, okay? All right, so those are the top red flags that I recommend being on the lookout for when it comes to going through the interview process. And remember, you are a prize. You do not have to settle. Other opportunities will come along. So if you run into an interviewer or a job that displays some of these red flags, don't get down about it. Your other opportunity is right around the corner. All right? You deserve to be happy. You deserve the best when it comes to your career. So go out and get it. All right, I hope this video was helpful for all of you. I would love to hear about some of your experiences and the red flags that you've noticed in interviews. All right, I'll meet you in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and until next time, bye.